This is going to go over Mocha tracking for taking this van and applying this decal over here. The van is set up in its own composition, and the composition settings is composition settings 29.97 frames per second. The actual video footage is 23.98 frames per second. When you're tracking things with Mocha or any other tracking, it's important to have all the sizes and frame rates consistent. So to do that, you take the van, putting its own composition and setting this composition setting to 29.97 frames per second. And I'm also setting the composition up as a 1920 by 1080 composition to match the tracking of the decal, which also has to be at the same frame rate. With all that out of the way, next step is to set your tracking up for success. And to do this, if I'm trying to track this and I can see that there's a slight shadow here, maybe the tracking software won't pick that up. So by applying a brightness and contrast, you can make this shadow stand out more, because trackers usually depend upon being able to distinguish between pixel color or luminosity. With all that done, I'm going back out to the main project, going to the main composition. I'm going to select the van composition, and then going under animation, track in Boris Mocha. And then after the plugin is applied, click on the button, which will launch it. And any registration screen, just click pass. To get started, use the pen tool and click out a path around the area that you want to track. And I want to track this side of the van. I'm going beyond the bumper, so this way there's some contrast between the color of the van and the grass. I'm ignoring the wheel well, and I'm going all the way to the front of the van, to the hood. And when you're done, either right-click or control-click to end the setup of drawing a path. You could click on these tangents to the path to make them sharper or looser. And that really depends upon what you're trying to achieve. So if I go sharper, this way I have some contrast in the pixels happening. You could also roll over the pen point and move it by clicking and moving. I have the pick tool in hand right now. If you want to zoom in, press the Z key and drag upward or downward to zoom in and zoom out. This is the area that will be tracked. To see how a planner will be applied to this, I'm going to click on Planner View. And if your planner view doesn't show up, it might be because it's very big, so you would have to zoom out and then make it smaller. Here, it's within the region. And this represents how the composition will be distorted in After Effects. I just want this to be on the bottom panel of the van. I'm dragging this to be smaller. I'm following the contour of the indentation in the van. And this will give a preview as Mocha tracks what's going on. I'm at frame 0. And one way to get to frame 0 is you roll over this number and you drag in a circle to go forward and backwards. Another way, you drag the blue arrowhead all the way down to frame 0. Under track motion options, this is layer 1. If I want a better name, I'll double click it. I'll call it side of van. This is the name that will show up in After Effects. I'll also click the perspective button, and being at frame 0, I'll just click on the track forward button and wait. And you can watch as it tracks to see if there's any slippage. And when it's done, go under File, Save Project, in case you have to come back, and then just close out Mocha. We're back in After Effects. open up the track data drop down and click on create track data. Pick which layer that we're tracking from Mocha, and we were using the side of van layer, and click on OK. Next, go under layer to export to, and I already have this decal layer here. Under layer to export, select the decal layer, and then apply export. Turn back on the decal layer so we can see it, and play. And this shows the decal sticking to the side of the van. The next step is to carve away regions like the wheel well, and this will be done using luminosity maps. With curve applied, increase the curve. And you're trying to get more of a luminosity mask. Take 4. You're trying to get a bright area here. The tires are coming in a little gray, and we're going to have to do a different technique to knock those out. But this is a great start. On top of this, I'll look for and apply a contrast. So brightness and contrast. And take 2 and increase the contrast and lower the brightness. So other than the hubs of the wheel, take 4. Other than the hubs of the wheel, this is a pretty good luminosity mask. I'll go to the decal layer, which is now just this. And from the track mat, I'll select luminosity, van 2, and I'll turn off the van 2 luminosity layer. So we got it mostly done. All we have to do is fix the tire. And there's 2 ways, take 4. There's 2 ways to fix the tire to knock it out. One way is to create a mask and just animate that mask going along, which is a great technique for an image like this. So maybe we'll try that first. Take 4. There's different ways we could apply a map. Take 5. There's different ways that we could knock out this and this little bit. Right here, it's leaking over. One is using mask. The second method would be doing another track on this and using that track layer to follow the tire. Here I'm going to do a mask because it will be pretty quick. Going back to this van layer, selecting the circle tool, and applying that as a mask. Now that's a mask, I'll invert it. And then the rest is just animating the mask. Take 4. Then the next step is just to animate the mask going through the scene. You can see that the mask is left behind. So as long as we animate this circle going forward and repeat this for the front tire, everything should work out great. So going under the mask layer, clicking on a keyframe for the mask path, picking up the Move tool, going forward a few frames by holding Control-Shift and the right arrow, and then just dragging that mask over. Take 2. Then selecting the mask here, and nudging it over using the Shift key. And I can scrub between these two. And I'll do that again. Going to the last keyframe, Control-Shift, right arrow. Selecting the mask layer, which take 4. And now using the Shift key and the left arrow to just nudge over the mask. And keep on doing this until you reach the end. And that will take care of masking the tire out.